Imagine a time when the likes of Barcelona, Real Madrid or Bayern Munich didn't dominate the European Cup. A time when underdogs stepped up and left their mark on football history. Welcome to our special series where we'll explore the incredible stories of underdog teams that have triumphed in the Champions League. We'll uncover the amazing achievements of 8 historic clubs, some of which have won the European Cup on more than one occasion. These club sides are some of the best in football history, but a lot of their stories are not told as much as they should be. With that in mind, we have dived into the history books to try and uncover these great achievements. In the coming episodes, we'll dive into the unforgettable tales of clubs like Celtic, Ajax and Nottingham Forest, as well as a few more surprise teams that have left their mark on European football history. So buckle up and join us on this exciting journey as we celebrate these incredible underdogs and their captivating Champions League stories. The last 2 decades have been dominated by teams from the top 5 leagues, and England and Spain in particular. Modern history has become a little repetitive, and despite the football being both splendid and entertaining, it doesn't compare to the romance of the old European Cup, a competition that truly was a place where all of the champions of Europe's domestic leagues had a real fighting chance of lifting the trophy. With the way money has changed the modern game, divisions have been created between what clubs can earn in certain countries. Therefore, the best players have all moved to the money in Western Europe, and the days of Eastern European teams, for example, winning the European Cup are long, long gone. So enjoy this series and allow us to revel in the romance of yesteryear. In today's video, we are kicking things off with one of Europe's most historic and storied clubs, Portuguese giants Benfica. Founded in 1904, they are one of the traditional Big Three in Portugal, alongside Porto and city rivals Sporting Lisbon. The Eagles play their home games in the Estádio da Luz, or in English, the Stadium of Light, and they are the most followed club in Portugal, with 250,000 club members and an estimated 14 million supporters worldwide. Benfica are also the most decorated club in Portugal, with 84 titles in total. This remarkable record includes 37 league titles and 2 special European Cup victories, won back-to-back in 1961 and 1962, the 2 triumphs we're going to focus on today. Nowadays we're used to seeing Benfica pop up in the knockout rounds of the Champions League, but they are not feared by the best clubs in Europe anymore. They are respected, but they are not revered. In the past, Benfica struck fear in their opponents, but now they find themselves in a very awkward position of being a selling club in the cutthroat money game that is European football. Heralded more for their recruitment and business nous than on-field performance, in recent years Benfica have successfully signed players as unknowns and shipped them on as rising superstars. In fact, in the last 5 years alone, Benfica have made around £740 million from selling stars. Darwin Núñez, Ruben Dias, Raúl Jiménez, Ederson, Enzo Fernandez and João Felix have all left Benfica recently. All 6 of them are now Premier League stars. This money is crucial to the club, as along with their brilliant scouting team, it enables them to find the next up-and-coming stars and at very least compete in Europe and win trophies in Portugal year after year. But how their fans would swap it all to go back to the glory days of Eusebio. It is impossible to mention Benfica without talking about their historical talisman Eusebio. Until the recent magic and key European Cup win of Cristiano Ronaldo, it was Eusebio who was always heralded as by far the best player in Portuguese history. It must be mentioned that Eusebio was originally from Mozambique, a Portuguese colony at the time, where he was born and raised. He only actually moved to Portugal as a teenager. Known as both the Black Panther and the King, Eusebio was a striker with famous power in his right boot, and he finished his career being considered one of the all-time greats, scoring 733 goals in 745 games. Benfica's trophy-winning seasons in Europe came at the very start of the forward's career, and in fact, he only has 1 medal from the 1962 triumph. In the year before, despite breaking into the national team to score, he only managed 1 appearance for Benfica. Eusebio scored 473 of his goals for Benfica in just 440 appearances for the club, a truly stunning return. Eusebio's goal-scoring prowess was the catalyst of Benfica's glory years in the 60s. Remarkably, Benfica featured in 5 out of 8 European Cup finals between 61 and 68, a feat we might only associate nowadays with Real Madrid. Many fantastic teams have been far less prominent in European competition. Perhaps, very unfortunately, Benfica only won 2 out of 5 of those finals, and had they won 1 or 2 more, we would be looking back on an accomplishment even more special. Nevertheless, they achieved incredible things and set the tone for European football in the 60s. In fact, they took over the baton from the self-proclaimed Kings of Europe, Real Madrid. After Los Blancos won the first 5 editions of the European Cup, it was Benfica who ended their successful run with their famous back-to-back titles in 61 and 62. And guess who Benfica turned over in those finals? Barcelona in 61 and Real Madrid themselves in 62. It was poetry for the Portuguese side. AC Milan, Inter Milan and Manchester United were the sides who would defeat Benfica in their 3 European Cup finals that soon followed. So after Madrid, it's not unfair to say that Benfica started writing the script for European glory. Their heroes in 1961 were Jose Aguas and Jose Augusto. The pair combined to score 17 goals as Benfica marched towards their maiden European Championship. On the road to glory, they dispatched of all of their opponents with ease and arrived to the final against Barcelona with plenty of confidence. They would face a Barca side that contained Luis Suarez Miramontes, regarded as one of the great Spanish players of all time. However, Benfica's all-Portuguese starting 11 scored 3 goals in 20 minutes during the middle of the game and ran out 3-2 winners in the final. In 1962, they did it all over again. As champions, they were afforded the luxury of entering the competition in the second round, but they would have to overcome 4 other European champions to retain the trophy. Benfica travelled to Austria, Germany and England, where over 2 legs they defeated Austria Vienna, Nuremberg and Tottenham Hotspur, to set up a glamour final against 5-time winners Real Madrid in Amsterdam. At this stage, Eusebio was beginning to make his mark on European football, and at just 20 years of age, he would become Benfica's main man. Despite Eusebio's rise, Real Madrid were purring. They won their European semi-final against Standard Liège of Belgium 6-0 on aggregate. Real Madrid was also still home to Alfredo Di Stefano and Ferenc Puskas, the 2 original Galacticos. The Argentinian and the Hungarian were early footballing icons who spent 6 years together at Madrid as a strike partnership. They won it all and were voted 6th and 7th as the best players of the 20th century. In 1962, they would outscore Eusebio's 5 European goals, with 7 each, to finish top scorers in the competition. However, despite their stature and experience, on the day it was Eusebio's men who won out. Even a Puskas hat-trick in the final was not enough to return the trophy to Madrid, as Eusebio contributed with 2 goals of his own, including a crucial penalty that put Benfica 4-3 up in a tense second half. Benfica had done it. They had won back-to-back titles and they had defeated the 5-time champions, full of superstars in the process. A famous triumph with some magic moments from the young Eusebio should never be forgotten. As mentioned, in the following years Benfica would go on to 3 more European finals, losing by just a single goal to both Milan and Inter, and to Manchester United even more cruelly in extra time. Eusebio could not quite pull his side over the line in those games. Meanwhile, however, at home in Portugal, Benfica continued to dominate, winning 8 titles in what was a stunning decade for the club. Agonisingly, they would return to the European Cup final on 2 more occasions, only to be defeated again, in 1988 and 1990. The 80s were a weird mix of success and distress for a club that had more domestic success but also lost a UEFA Cup final, and perhaps, worst of all, spent very unwisely. The club racked up huge debts, and at the time they were unable to pay player wages. They went through 11 coaches from 94 to 2003, and embarrassingly for a club of such stature, they came 6th in the league in 2001 and spent 2 years completely without European football. However, that blip doesn't take away from the fact that Benfica were voted the 12th best club of the 20th century by FIFA. If you ask the average football fan today where Benfica stand in history, they might not give you that answer. But the trophies and the history books simply don't lie. Benfica reached 7 European Cup finals in 3 decades, a monumental achievement for any side. They are and always will be European giants. Despite the turning of the tide in European football, Benfica's rich history and footballing heritage will never be taken away from them. You can feel that amongst their fans at the wonderful Stadium of Light. It's not an easy place to go, and the atmosphere is still one of the best. We long for the days of old when Benfica had the best players in the world and were competing for titles. Eusebio and Benfica are forever in the history books. The 20-year-old from Mozambique who helped defeat the mighty Madrid is a beautiful story, and the brilliance of Benfica will live long in the memory.